After getting in trouble
and
multiple times in his youth,
probably
including getting
average,
stabbed
probably
and
adolescent
arrested
teenager,
several
I think,
times,
a little bit
Leon
on
Harrington of
the
Sunbury
badder
decided
side,
to
I would
make
say.
changes and change his life.
So it was a situation to where a couple of us got into an altercation with someone, and I ended up getting stabbed at a party, and it was during my senior year. So I actually wound up going to get my GED before my senior year ended. So I didn't even graduate from Shikellamy in May because I got my GED in March. This is what a lot of people that know me, they would always find it interesting. I was on an honor roll in my senior year.
You were on the honor roll.
I was on an honor roll in high school.
Were you doing drugs while you were
No,
studying?
I've never done any hard drugs. Smoked weed, but
But
no.
nothing. What were you selling?
I was selling coke, crack, yeah.
And you never felt a need?
No, because I grew up in a space where people weren't using drugs.
But how did you get involved in it? Because usually it starts with you're doing drugs and, oh, I can make money selling it. I already know somebody has it. How did you get involved with it when you weren't really...
Because I always loved getting money.
Okay.
Like
You like to...
I love money. Well, this is all my brand. This is
I
all
was
this that I have.
very cool.
This is all my clothing line.
So you could have been a really good businessman there.
So that's how I look at it. Like I don't think it was ever about selling drugs. I think it's just about getting money. You know. So.
And you were on the honor roll in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
school was...
I think my senior year, if I'm, I want to say it was like a 95.6 GPA, like right before I got stabbed. So like school was never an issue. It's just that I ran into getting money and then started to realize like, okay, this may kind of be a little discrepancy in between the two, right? So I tried to do my best in school, and I found myself like my senior year, I found myself like missing the first 3 periods of school because I wanted to make sure that I get my money and things like that. So it definitely affected how I looked at school once I started accumulating money.
So how was your mom and your stepfather about...
So my mother didn't like that, right? my mother, but she had 4 kids, right? And she worked at the
Is she still living?
Yes, she lives in North Carolina, and she worked at the Turkey Hill right down the block from where we lived at. So the reason why I actually went and got my GED is because my mother seen that I got stabbed. I had to miss school, and she realized that I was in the streets. So she said, all of my kids are graduating. So she was like, you know what? I want you to come home, because I was already like at 17. I was like kind of gone. So she's like, I want you to come home, and she signed me up for a GED. So I just stayed. She said, like, you got to stay here for 3 days, and I want you to go take this test. And she drove me down to CSU, Montandon, for 3 days straight. I was 17 years old, and I passed on the first try. That's what kind of mother I had.
Yeah.
She's like, if you're not going to make it all the way to the end of graduation, then let's make sure you get this before graduation.
She was going to make sure that you had
all her kids
start you out, and you all did.
All her kids graduated.
Yeah.
Now, which actually benefited me because I wound up going to jail for a bunch of years, and then when I came home from jail, because I actually did that, I was able to get my bachelor's.
Nice. Well, okay, so let's go on. So you're 17, you got your GED. You're thinking what?
17 GED. I actually get sent to juvie.
Okay.
I get sent to juvie
because
for smoking weed.
So you were sent to juvenile rehab, like a hall juvenile.
It was a running boot camp type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a running boot camp type thing, I think.
How long were you there?
I was there from May 23rd to August 20th.
What
I'm good
year
with
was
dates.
that? What year?
2006.
What did you think of it?
I remember feeling, if you were going to be away, this is probably not the worst place. This is not like, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Is how I would describe it, is when you're saying like I wasn't, and because I was already kind of like a little bit street kid, it wasn't like a miss home kind of thing, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I guess it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Bad of experience. It wasn't the best situation, because I remember like before I went to that boot camp thing, I had to go to a detention center. And I'd probably say that's probably the worst experience of the whole thing, is because now you're confined in a detention center. So if I would have had to spend my whole time confined in a cell at 16, 17, it probably would have changed the outlook further on. But I was only in that thing for like a week. And then...
Didn't have enough of a taste.
Didn't have enough of a taste. So you go from that, and then you send me to an open program where you're running miles and things like that. But I'm a teenager. I'm athletic,
Yep.
I can do that. You know, so that
you get out of boot camp, what do? What are you thinking you're going to do? What's in your head?
My mother signed me up for McCann. So I went to McCann.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was in McCann, I was also broke.
You were broke?
Yeah, I didn't have any money.
Of course you did. What were you studying at McCann?
I was studying business management.
Okay,
So,
smart.
yes, I was studying business management at McCann, and I didn't have any money, so I wasn't having the never had ambitions of like doing a McDonald's job, or
Why not?
it wasn't nothing that
You knew what you could make.
I knew what I
selling
could make. Yeah, I knew what I could make way faster and easier than that, right?
So you understand the lure.
Huh?
You understand the lure that so many people have.
Yeah. So that's how I looked at it. But like, again, when I came home, it wasn't my initial intention to go right back. But as you're in school, and then sometimes this is not an excuse, but I remember the mindset of that time period of being in McCann, being on county probation, and they used to just come in my house, search my house, and just do all the random stuff. And it almost make you feel like, why shouldn't I then?
Right.
They would come in there and search my house before I got to go to school. Then I'm late for school. Then they'd do things like, hey, let's take a urinalysis test. But instead of giving me a stick urinalysis test, because I don't do drugs.
Right.
So they would do is, let's send it to the laboratory. And while I was in the laboratory, we're going to incarcerate you until the results come back. I went through that so many times throughout my probation out here. Like, that was like, it's like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I had that happen so many times that by the time I actually did a state sentence, I had almost 6 months accumulated of urinalysis tests that was credited for time served. That's how crazy it was. You know?
Did you? I mean, in retrospect, how do you view that? What they were doing to you?
I knew it was crazy. I knew it was extra. But and how they're trying to look at it is like, we know you out here selling drugs, so we could be an inconvenience in life. But I feel like that wasn't justifiable. It wasn't justifiable. So that's what I experienced. And this is around 18, because I came home from juvie at 17, enrolled in McCann at 17 because I was turning 18 in November. And yeah, so all this is happening around 18, and to the point that McCann told me in January 2007, hey, we're going to just withdraw you until you handle your legal situations, because I kept on getting locked up for probation violations without any new charges. It's literally just probation violations, never going in front of a judge, just my PO saying, go sit down while we figure this out. Hey, you weren't home. We're going to hold you down for 10 days for this. Hey, we seen you, like, this is...
So they withdraw you without any kind of prejudice?
Without any prejudice.
Yeah.
They told me I was able to come back, but by the time all of that happened, now I'm facing my first felony now.
Because
Now I'm back in the streets now. So this is riding into it. So I get 2007 in January. They tell me that they're going to withdraw me, and then I catch my first felony charge in May.
And what was the felony charge?
Possession with intent to deliver
Possession of intent.
marijuana and crack cocaine.
And when did you get sentenced?
For that case?
For any of the cases, when did you? So how many times did you get, charged with felony?
That time right there was the first felony charge, and then when I wound up catching my case, I wound up catching the case in 2009.
Okay, and so in 2009 you got sentenced?
Yeah, I got sentenced for that. I got convicted for possession of intent to deliver marijuana and cocaine in that one right there.
Okay.
And they gave me 3 to 23 months in jail.
So county sentence.
County sentence. And then 2009 is when I got sentenced to 6.5 to 17 years in prison.
Because you
continued
prior.
Yeah.
So 2009. And so what was the sentence in 2009?
6.5 to 17.
6.5 to 17 years. What did that feel like when you heard those 6.5 to 17?
That wasn't the same as juvie, I'll tell you that.
Landing in jail, you say it's not like juvie. What were your first few days? There, you're 20.
20. Well, I turned 21 in county, and then I went upstate.
Jeez.
And yeah, state prison is different. I don't wish that on anybody. State prison is a world inside of a world. It's its own world, own rules. And I was in a jail.
How long did it take you to figure it out, the rules?
To figure out the rules, I wouldn't say figure out the rules, because again, I came from the streets. in regards to like my teenage years. So like I had like a little bit of street mentality, and not for nothing, these are the people that's upstate, right? So I kind of had that, and then you come to realize that there's different types of streets.
Where did you go?
I went to Rockview, and that's where a lot of people feel like at that time was one of the worst jails in Pennsylvania. So there was a lot going on in there. It's a very open facility. I don't know how much you're aware of these facilities, but Rockview is the type of facility that you're aware of them. Like yeah, Rockview is the type of facility that you can go from one side to the other side without interference of.
So there was a lot. You really had to know.
You had to know how to move around.
Who is where and what they're.
Right. It's not like Cole
Because
Township.
it's not like where you're locked down for
Right.
24 hours or.
Right. Exactly. Like Rockview, you can't smoke inside jails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they let the inmates stand outside their blocks to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're standing outside your block to smoke, there's nobody else out there.
Right.
So I can, if I'm on, like I was on CA, there's people that I know that used to go to another block, they'll switch with someone until shift change.
Right.
You know, like, so this is that type of jail. So it was a different type of experience.
How long did you serve? What year did you get out?
I got out in 2014. Yeah, I got out in 2014.
So you spent how many years?
I got locked up in 2009, and I was in there in 2014. I got 6.5 to 17 with the triple II eligible, so they gave me 75%. And then also, remember I told you,
Right.
by the time I got sentenced,
You had the 6 months.
I had like a lot of time served because they kept on locking me up for dumb things. So they gave me a bunch of time, well, not a bunch, but they gave me time served. So
When you were in jail, were you thinking about, okay, when I get out, this is what I want to do with my life?
No, because so when you're in jail, they tell you, so you got 6.5 to 17 years. Triple II is not a guarantee. So I don't know that I'm going to get out in 2014. As far as I'm concerned, I'm getting out in 2016, right? So when they also tell you that you're not guaranteed your minimum, you're in here 17 years, and if you're good enough, so as far as I'm concerned, at 20 years old, 17 years sound like a life, you know? So I can't even tell you that I came home with a plan. I didn't come home with a plan. I had no plan when I got out of jail because I felt like I had so much time that I was like if you got 1 or 2 years, you feel like, all right, I'm going to just knock these 12 months out and I'm going to come home and I'm going to do this. But when you see year flipping, it's like...
And you didn't want to put yourself in a position of, I could get out
I
and then
can't get
not.
out, and then you don't get out.
And then it just...
Right. Because you're not guaranteed to get out. So again, I can either get out May 14th of 2014, or I can get out November of 2016, or I can get out 2026 when all of this is over.
Right.
You know? So like that's so it actually, so after I came home, I started working in 2017 at the hotel.
Which
right?
hotel?
Huh?
Which hotel?
The Hilton, the Hampton Inn.
Okay.
Right? So I started working in the Hampton Inn. It was maybe 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2016 I started working in the Hampton Inn. And so when I first went in there, it was just because I had just came home again, because I skipped something. I went to jail from 2000. I came home in April 6, 2014, and I went back to jail November.
For what?
For mistaken.
Okay.
But I was on parole. Mistaken identity, but I was on parole, so I couldn't bail out. So I had to sit there until I finished the whole entire case, until I beat the entire case. It took me until November 2014 until January 2016. So that's when I came home again. So that's why
Now, were you in prison or were you
No,
in
I stayed in the
jail?
county jail. I stayed in the county jail. So when I came home from that right there, now it was like, that was kind of like a breaking thing. And this is what this is probably what
So
more people
that finally
experience.
broke you.
Yeah, I feel like people probably experience that upstate, but I feel like that county, that staying in that county jail for like a year and some change, that was like mentally draining, because state prison is a world in its own.
Right.
That's like almost isolation.
So you never thought again I could make easy money? 'Cause
Oh
must
no,
have
it was
been
over.
Really,
It was over. 2016. I was like, it's over.
because you knew.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was. That was like, I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do no more jail time.
Right.
I can't do no more jail time. So I'm in there. So I come home. I start working in the hotel. I start up at the breakfast bar.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm working the breakfast bar, I see that other people are getting hired, and they're getting hired at a higher rate than I am because of the position that I'm in. So I go, hey, can you train me over here at the front desk? Yeah, we can train you, and the money is still not. It wasn't like a lot of more money, but it was like 50 cents. But if you're gonna have this job, you're gonna go for that 50 cent, right? So I was like, all right, well, train me over there. And then they went into a transition of a GM transition. So the new GM came in, and she was like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to be like well trained, right? So because I come from a hustle mindset, I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna do this, I want to be the best at it, right? So before you know it, I'm trained at breakfast. I go to front desk. I go to laundry. I go to housekeeping. I do it all, right? And then she goes, hey, we do this thing where we send people to other hotels. Oh, sign me up. So now she's like, hey, build your own team, and they'll start traveling with you too. So now the rest of the team is looking at me like a leader, because they're like, you're helping us get more money based on what you're doing. So build a little team. The next you know, she's like, hey, you can go to college for this, and a hotel will help pay a percentage.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So I signed up for college, and I signed up for a certification in hospitality. But while I'm in there, I'm like, why would I just go for a certification? Why don't I just go for it all, right? So I'm like, I'm going for it all. I'm going for my bachelor's, but I made sure that my first degree was my hospitality, so that way I can start transitioning into that field. So instead of being like the regular groundwork, I wanted to be eventually like a GM or something of that nature. Right. So that's what I started going for. So in 2019, I finally finished my first course, so I get my first degree for the hospitality, and I started applying for jobs in Harrisburg and other hotels and things like that. And at the same time as I'm doing that, I also get locked up. I'm driving through Harrisburg, and inspection, the ticket, what's the thing?
Oh, your inspection or your registration?
Registration is not there. And at the same time, I owed a fine to Summersgrove. So Summersgrove had a bench warrant out for me, so I get locked up in Dauphin County. For the weekend. But while I'm in Dauphin County, everything clicked. Everything clicked. I was in Dauphin County for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and everything came back into perspective. You're not what you're doing. You're not supposed to be doing what you're doing. You're not supposed to be working with somebody. You're not supposed to be inside my hotel. There's too many connections to a CEO and a boss. It's like, I didn't like it. So I came home, and within a month, I quit. Just right off gauge, like, hey, I'm not doing this no more. And I started selling cars. Just selling cars for a little bit. That was doing okay. And then in 2020, like the next year, what is it? The pandemic and all that, right? Yep. That's coming, right? But before 2020, in 2019, when I'm selling cars, my girl told me that she's pregnant, right? So this is like October-ish. It's like September, October of 2019. So now I realize that selling cars is not enough, right? So I'm like, I gotta do something else. So I started networking, things like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna throw a party. So I threw a Halloween party in 2019. But then I'm like, well, that's like a one-off event unless I want to continuously do this. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? What are you good at? Selling. I'm good at selling products. I'm going to start me a clothing brand. Mm-hmm. I had already thought about little ideas and stuff like that, and I run across a picture of me and Jel, and that's what that is. So like when you look at the logo, that's actually a picture of me and Rafi. That's the picture I took. I'm just sitting there like this, and the picture is a Jel picture, and so that's why I just made a silhouette of that, and then it's like, you know what? Evolution. We're gonna evolve from that, and that's how I came up with the concept of the brand. So I started selling clothes in 2020, and that's when the pandemic hit. They start hitting everybody with all of these free money. Here, take this money. So I save up all of that money they gave me, and I wound up buying a unit, a house.
Did you really?
Yeah. I wound up buying a 4-unit house, and then that ended. So I had a 4-unit house. And the next year came...
In Sunbury?
In Sunbury. So I bought my first 4-unit house in 2020 in Sunbury. And then in 2021, I was in the bank. And it was like, hey, got this guy. He's thinking about selling his house. He's in Sunbury. And we told him about you. So I was like, okay, I had heard about refinancing and things like that, so I was thinking like maybe I can try and take the money I put into this house and put it into that house because I know I didn't have enough money to buy a new house.
Sure.
But then when I meet the guy, the price that he told me, I was like, well, I think I can come up with that. So I wound up saving up some money, and what was it? So this is 2021. I wound up saving up some money for the down payment for it, but at the same time, it's time for me to graduate from my bachelor's. So the graduation was supposed to be in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So you can either go to Arizona one, you can go to the Hawaii one, you can go to all different ones.
wanted to go to the
I want to go to Hawaii, right? So the graduation is going to be in November of 2021, and I was supposed to close on that property in October of 2021. So as things come about, I was like, in July, what happens? July, I run into another person, and they say, hey, we have another property for a couple $1,000s. It's more of a project.
That's
So
3 different properties.
3 different properties, right? So I go, impulsively, let me buy it. So now that takes away some of my down payment.
Sure.
Right? So I go, well, forget Hawaii. We're not gonna go to Hawaii.
You don't need to go to graduation.
Yeah, let's get this property. So instead of going to Hawaii, we went to a cheaper trip, and we still went to celebrate in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
But as soon as I came back from Puerto Rico, I had the money. I closed on that property, so now I wound up having 3 units.
So are you a landlord? Did you
Yeah, I'm a
fix it
landlord.
up?
I'm a landlord.
Did you fix it up? Or
Yeah, I
did-
fix them all up. Yeah, I fix all my properties up. Yep. So that property I wound up buying, I fixed that one up the most. That this 2023, 2 years later, I was able to pull the equity out of that one and bought a 4th property. So now I have 12 units.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are they money makers for you?
they're money makers. I don't work. I don't go inside of a workplace.
Right.
I sell clothes and collect rent.
And how is the clothing going? How is
Clothing is going really good. Every year I probably say that I get new customers.
Okay. What do you want people to know through your clothing line?
I want people to see, we're from Sunbury, so it's a small town. So a lot of people feel like when you're from like small towns like this, like you can't
Right.
accumulate money, you can't be successful. And I always feel like success is subjective. It's how you view it, you know?
Right.
So I feel like I'm successful, right? I might not be rich, but I feel like I'm successful, right? I feel like I can take everything that I own in Sunbury and I can sell it, and I can go be successful in somebody else's city that everybody feel like I'm successful. Or I can maintain the life that I have out here and continue to own the things that I own and live like that way.
How old are you now?
I'm 35.
17-year-old you
Mm-hmm.
looking at 35-year-old you.
Mm-hmm. What would I tell him?
What would he tell you?
That's my boy.
And what would you do?
He would. I think 17-year-old me would be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. I seen that. You know? And 35-year-old me would say, I see why you doing what you did. You know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I didn't have to do all the years in jail,
Right.
but I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And by being, sometimes I look at it like I grew up so fast
Yeah.
that once I factor in all that period of jail and everything, I'm right back where I'm right back. Life is back even. I don't have to move too fast. I don't have to move too slow. I can just take life at my pace, you know?